Hi guys, I welcome you all to EduTap, and here is lecture number 10 under the fast track series for RBI Gr B and NABARD Gr A. So this is a video series covering your ESI and Finance in news and has been brought to you by EduTap. So see, first of all, let me quickly tell you about this series particularly. See, we are covering ESI, that is economics and social issues, and finance in current affairs. Now these both are important for RBI as well as NABARD examination. And secondly, let me tell you that for NABARD exam you also have to read about the agriculture and rural development, that is ARD in news, and for that we have another series called as ARD in news. That is also a video series covering all these news starting from the month of January. So I would recommend you to go and see that video also if you are preparing for NABARD. And today we'll be covering ESI in news from 28th, 29th and 30th September. And particularly this video is about ESI only. There were no as such relevant finance in news. So let us just start. Okay, so our very first news is about the G4. See, G4, apart from this news, I wanted to tell you about this G4 grouping and its background. That is why I have incorporated it here. So G4 ministers from the four countries, that is India, Brazil, Germany, Japan, have reviewed this UNSC reform. See, ministers from these four countries have reviewed the reform progress because they have said that from past 40 years there is no particularly progress in the UNSC reforms. So what is this G4? See, G4 is a grouping of four nations, that is Brazil, Germany, India and Japan. Now these are the four nations which are not the permanent members of the United Nations Security Council, and they were demanding individually the UNSC seat as a permanent member, but then when their demand was not given importance to, so they formed this coalition of four nations, so that is G4. So you need to keep in mind that G4 is the group of nations which is particularly relevant and important in terms of the permanent membership of the Security Council. First of all this, and there's this 5 permanent members in the United Nations Security Council which are known as P5. So these P5 are UK, US, China, France and Russia. So P5 and P4 you need to keep in mind, and also I have mentioned it here, this grouping known as the Uniting for Consensus movement. See, this is also known as the Coffee Club and it is led by Italy. So this group basically opposes the claim of these G4 nations for the reformation of the United Nations Security Council. So keep in mind G4, P5 as well as the Coffee Club or the Uniting for Consensus. And you can just read here that UNSC has 15 members, 5 are permanent, 10 are non-permanent, and India has been a member of UNSC for 7 terms. See, the non-permanent members, which are 10, are basically elected for a term of 2 years, and 5 permanent members are already there which have this veto power. So yes, that would be it from this particular news and this G4 grouping and UNSC. Just go through it once. Okay, so this is about ADB, Asian Development Bank has sanctioned this loan for Madhya Pradesh's first multi-skill park. Okay, so park is missing here. So this ADB, that is Asian Development Bank, we have learnt about ADB in so many videos before also, and okay, so you have to tell me where the headquarter of ADB is. You have to mention it in the comment section below. Okay, so this ADB is providing the 150 million loan for establishing the multi-skills park in the Madhya Pradesh. So see, why is this important? Because first of all, let me tell you that India's demographic dividend is in favor. That means that India's majority of the population is going to be in the working group. So the working population as compared to the other nations where this majority of the population is on an aging curve. So Madhya Pradesh being such a large state in terms of population as well as area, it has like one of the largest working age populations in India. And here I have mentioned that more than 55% of Madhya Pradesh's workforce is in agriculture. So that is the aim of the government, to make the workforce trained in the vocational courses, and the formal training is being provided. So many there are schemes like there's this Skill India scheme that we've also learned about Sankalp, Strive. These were schemes which were launched by the government. So this is one such important initiative, ADB and Madhya Pradesh. That would be it about this news. Okay, so US and India have formed alliance to eliminate tuberculosis. Now see, why is this news important? This is first of all from your health section, and it is important because the tuberculosis, particularly India has a very high burden of tuberculosis patient. And now this USAID, you have to keep in mind that US Agency for International Development has formed alliance with India to end tuberculosis. So this alliance will consist of so many members from industry, civil society leaders, academics, scientists, even the members of the diaspora. So they would be coming together and giving solutions for the tuberculosis elimination in India. Okay. So let us see about TB. Okay, so let me tell you that apart from this, India has particularly done really well in the elimination of polio. Polio is a viral disease, and this tuberculosis is India's major health problem. 27% of the world's TB cases are in India. You see, such a humongous problem India is facing with. And if you are able to relate, there's this DOTS course which is given by the government free of cost to the TB patients. So early diagnosis is basically the problem, and secondly the completion of the course of the TB. If you see Amitabh Bachchan's advertisement is there relating to your DOTS course, that you have to complete the course. So although government initiatives are there, but now US agency is also going to help in it. So yes, that would be it. Let us move on. Okay, this is again important. Niti Aayog and United Nations have signed SDF, that is Sustainable Development Framework. Now this framework is going to be for 5 years starting from 2018 to 2022. Now first of all, let me tell you that Niti Aayog is one of the implementing agencies of the Sustainable Development Goals for India. That is why it is in news. And secondly, this particular framework is important because this is about the commitment of India and its efforts toward the completion of these attainment of these goals by 2030. Now apart from 2030, this is for 5 years. So that means 2022 is particularly crucial for India. Why so? Because India is going to mark its 75 years of independence in this year. And that is why, are you able to relate that so many schemes of the government are there which are have to be completed up to 2022, like Housing for All by 2022, and so many other schemes are there. So yes, that would be its Sustainable Development Framework. Let us see what is there in next slide. UNSDF has outlined the development cooperation between the Government of India and United Nations, particularly about the Sustainable Development Goals and priorities. And secondly, okay, I've mentioned here about that UN is going to support the government on the South-South Cooperation. Now what is the South-South Cooperation? See, the world is said to be divided into global north and global south. So global south is the countries which are developing nations, and usually they lie in the, like, it's South Asian nations, then African nations, then there are South American, Latin American nations are also there. So basically India is the contributor of this cooperation. It also was the initiator of this South-South Cooperation, wherein it said that all the developing nations have to come together and cooperate with each other so as to attain the pace with developed nations. So that is a very much appreciated cooperation, and United Nations is also going to support India in this. Okay, that would be it. Let us move on. Okay, so this is our last news from this particular section. So a high-level committee has been constituted on corporate social responsibility. Now see, this is particularly important because in exam usually it is asked that which committee is relevant for this purpose or who is the head of this committee. So high-level committee on CSR has been constituted under the chairmanship of Shri Injeti Srinivas. You need to keep this in mind. And He is the Secretary of Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Okay, so let me tell you, you can just go through it once, and secondly, let me tell you that this corporate social responsibility is particularly the responsibility or the accountability of the corporates towards the society. You can say it is a social accountability of these corporates, and this CSR is particularly mentioned in the Companies Act 2013, where section 135 it is mentioned that the companies which have the profit of or above rupees 5 crore, they have to give 2% of their particularly profit for this CSR. Okay, just go through the section 135 and check the facts again, and if there is any correction, you can just mention in the comment section below. And yes, that would be it from this news. Nations are usually in news regarding their vocal concern about the reforms of the United Nations Security Council. Which of the following country is not a member of G4? So here are your options. Basically, it is asking about who is the member of G4 and who is not. We have just seen. Mark your score. You must know the answer now. So your answer is China. So Brazil, Germany, Japan and India are a member of the G4 group. Question number 2. First multi-skills park is going to be established in the state of Madhya Pradesh. Which of the following has sanctioned a loan for the same? So which of the following organizations? Just go through them. You must know the answer. Is it World Bank, SoftBank Group, ADB, EBRD, that is European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, or Reserve Bank of India? Yes, and our answer is Asian Development Bank. $150 million loan is going to be providing to Madhya Pradesh for the skill development park. Question number 3. USAID, US Agency for International Development, has recently announced an alliance with India to end a disease. Now this disease accounts for 27% of world's burden of this particular disease, and this is, see, if you have not read about this particular alliance, it becomes difficult for you to count on like which disease it could be. So just try and solve it. Now you know the answer. So our answer is tuberculosis. And fourth question, last one. Recently, a committee for the corporate social responsibility has been formed by the government. So the committee will be headed by, okay, now this is also important, go through it. The answer is Injeti Srinivas. So Uday Kotak committee was about the corporate governance, which was in news. Then Injeti Srinivas, we know about this. Nachiket More committee was about the small financial banking, or you can say the payment banks, which were in news. So Nachiket More is relevant to that. And Ashok Dalwai's committee is formed for the doubling of farmers' income by 2022. So 2022 again in news. We have just seen India is going to mark 75 years of independence, and the government wants the farmers to double their income by 2022. So our corporate social responsibility committee is going to be headed by Injeti Srinivas. Tally your scores here. These are the answers to the questions given. I hope you guys have learned all these things from this particular section. Okay, so that's it guys. If you guys have any query or you have any doubt, you can just drop us a mail at hello@edutap.co.in, and this is our website. Just go and visit our website. You'll be able to see all the courses there, and this is our contact number 8146207241. You can drop us a you can WhatsApp us on this number, or you can call us as per your convenience. For mail you have to go to hello@edutap.co.in. So that's it guys. If you find this video useful and you like the content, please do not forget to like, subscribe and share. And this is the link of our Telegram channel. You'll be able to download the PDF of this particular lecture as well as all other lectures. I would recommend you to go and download it, and it will be helpful for you to revise it later. So yes, that would be it from this particular section. Thank you guys. I wish you all a very happy learning. That's it.